Welcome to Murder Road Trip. I'm Haley.
And I'm Jess.
Today is a very special episode. It's our 1-year anniversary. Exactly 1 year ago, Murder Road Trip put out its first episode. In order to celebrate this occasion, we thought we would hold a Q&A, talk about our favorite episodes, and more.
We will be snacking on lemon meringue pie and pad thai as we go for a leisurely drive to nowhere in particular.
Jess, what made you pick lemon meringue pie for today's special trip?
So lemon meringue pie is my favourite food on the planet, but I'm doing keto at the moment, and so I haven't had it since I started and I really miss it. So I figured since it was a special occasion, I could have some.
Ooh. Will you hate me if I say I don't like lemon meringue pie?
I already hate you, so it's not going to make a difference.
Rude.
Lemon meringue pie is amazing. What's there not to love? It's got tangy lemon and the sweet meringue on top. So good.
I don't like meringue.
You're a monster.
I know.
Haley, what made you pick pad thai for today's trip?
Well, pad thai is my absolute favorite food in the entire world. It's so good. Anytime it's on a menu somewhere, I have to get it. And I try to find the best pad thai there is out there. So far, it's actually been my hometown pad thai place that I love. I can't find anything better, so.
Well, Topeka's got one thing going for it then.
I know, I'll have to take you there when you come.
Yes, especially since I'm not going to be doing keto in America, so I can eat lemon meringue pie and pad thai.
Well, they also have these things called money bags they're really tiny, but they're kind of like a crab rangoon, but even more like soft, and I don't know, they're super good.
Okay, stop making me hungry.
Okay. Now that you know what we are snacking on, we can get into the exciting stuff, the Q&A. Thank you to everyone who took the time to submit questions. We had such a blast reading over them.
This question was submitted by Lainey from True Crime Fan Club, We're All Just Pretending, and It's Haunted, Now What? Oftentimes you see negative interactions on social media or whatever, where you know that someone doesn't like the other person. We've seen Haley's rudeness directed at the always pleasant and extremely lovable Lainey. Jess, force Haley to say one nice thing about Lainey.
Well, first of all, this isn't a question. This is she's forcing me to say something.
It's more of an instruction. Say something nice about the ray of sunshine that is Lainey.
She has really nice teeth.
I mean, she does, but is that all you've got?
Yeah, it's literally the only thing I can think of.
Lainey is lovely, everybody.
Don't feed her ego. All right. This question comes from Maria O., the biggest true crime fan that I know. I know you've enjoyed all the hosts you worked with, but who is your dream co-host? Jess, why don't you go first?
If I could pick anyone in the world to co-host a podcast with, I would pick Nina from Already Gone, because her voice is just the most amazing.
You would just be staring at you'd just be staring at your computer, just listening in your headphones while she talks, and then you'd never say anything.
That was basically what it was like when I met her at CrimeCon. She would talk and I'd just be like, oh, she's such a nice voice.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you pick, Haley, besides me?
Yeah, my dreams have already come true. That's a good question. I have had really good guests on. I'd say Jason Mantzoukas from my favorite podcast, How Did This Get Made? I absolutely adore him, and I think it'd be really fun to do like a sort of comedy episode with him. He always has crazy things to say, so I think it would be a good episode.
I don't know who that is, so I've very little to add. This question was submitted by Kim from the People Are Wild podcast. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Kim, no. A hot dog is not a sandwich, it's a hot dog.
I know, it's in a bun.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the hamburger bun. No, it's not a sandwich.
No, a sandwich is the two pieces of bread have to be detached for it to be a sandwich in my eyes.
I was just thinking that. So, do you call like a sub sandwich? Would you just call that a sub? Because it's not detached.
Um, we just call that a filled roll because it's a roll and it's filled with food. It's just a filled roll. Never come to New Zealand, you won't cope. But no, I think a hot dog is not sandwiched between the two pieces of bread. It's cradled in like a bread cradle. So, Kim, no, it's not a sandwich.
And the rest of the questions are from Veronica from Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you so much for sending a long list.
Veronica is so awesome. She's really, really active on our Facebook page and she's always saying really lovely things. So thanks, Veronica. What were your first true crime podcasts?
The very first podcast I ever listened to was Generation Y. I was going to go on a cruise and I did a deep dive into Titanic and I did a search and they actually did like a Titanic conspiracies episode. So that's the first one I listened to. And then after that, I got really into Last Podcast on the Left and kind of went into a more comedy, true crime dive. But I actually don't listen to that much true crime at all. A more comedy podcast like Doug Loves Movies, How Did This Get Made, Dumb People Town, things like that. What about you, Jess?
I think that my first true crime podcast that I listened to was Serial, which I feel is a really common answer for people's first true crime podcast. But I think I'm fairly certain it was Serial or possibly Case File. I started them around the same time. I got into true crime because Stuff You Should Know About Twice a Year does a true crime episode, and those were always my favorite episodes. So one day I just decided to search for some more, and I had absolutely no idea that there was this huge world of true crime podcasts out there.
And now look where you are.
And now look where I am.
Do you know how to change a flat tire?
I do not know how to change a flat tire. I had a tire explode a couple of months ago and I didn't even know where my spare tire was. So I put a message up on my community Facebook page and somebody came and saved me, which was really, really lovely of them.
Aw.
Do you know how to change a flat tire?
Yes, before my dad let me drive on my own, I had to change a flat tire.
I just had to have a license. My dad was like, go forth, be safe, don't crash. What type of car do you own?
I own a Hyundai. What about you, Jess?
I have got a Toyota. I've got like a mum mobile with tons of seats and room and stuff.
Is it a minivan?
But I love it. It's not a minivan, but it's so close to being a minivan that, yeah, it probably, yeah, it's probably too close to being a minivan for someone who's only got one child. But I have got a lot of space in there, so I love it.
No. What are your pets' names?
Okay, so I have a lot of pets. I've got 3 cats, 2 rabbits, and 3 chickens. So we'll start the list. So my cats are called BB, Pixie, and Minnie. And BB's 17 and Pixie is 11 and Minnie is like 6 months old. So I've got a big range of ages. My rabbits are called Boo and Goo because I'm really bad at naming things. And one is black and one is grey, so they're just Boo and Goo. And then my chickens are called Zinger Burger, Soup, and With Rice. They're motivational names.
That's mean.
It's a little bit funny though. I used to have one called Nugget, but she had to go live on a farm.
Did she become a nugget?
No, she was just too noisy because I actually live in the middle of the suburbs.
Oh.
I know the answer to this. What are your pets' names, Hayley?
Well, I have a boxer lab mix named Gurr, like from Invader Zim, and then I also have a German shepherd named Tantrum. She came pre-named, but her name does fit her pretty well, and they're both 6 years old this December.
And they are both So
They're my
cute.
babies.
I love them so much. I say
Yeah.
that I'm actually flying to Topeka to stay with Haley's dogs. And it's a little
I don't
bit
blame
true.
you. They're so cute.
They are really cute. Okay, would you ever have another listener help host the show for an episode?
I think that's a fun idea. I haven't had a listener yet, as you guys know, mostly because I'm booked until the end of the year trying to get my podcast host friends on. I thought when I started the podcast that it'd be really hard to get guests on, and it turns out it's not. So I think that's definitely something we should do next year. What about you, Jess? What do you think?
Never. No. Um, I think that would be really cool to have a listener help host an episode, especially if maybe it was like a case from where they were from.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be quite
Yeah.
interesting.
I did an episode of Playlist with some listeners, and it was one of the best shows I've done. It was really fun.
Yeah, it would be.
Which true crime story will you not cover, and what's the reason why?
So I have a blanket rule on cases that involve children. I just can't do it. So any true crime story that involves a child, I won't cover, and Haley would cover those with another co-host if that was a case she felt strongly about covering. So to me, a child is sort of not anything, anyone under the age of about 15. I'm really not going to go there. And I think it's because, I'm a mum. It just makes it really hard.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me because I don't have any stories I won't cover. So we have a good balance now where if I feel like anything in this story is going to be iffy for Jess, I'll send it to her. I'll send a detail like I wanted to do an abduction case. And Jess was like, I'm not super comfortable with this one. So I just put it on the back burner for someone else. And then another thing I do is I've recently been doing a lot of research for a true crime fan club, and Lainey doesn't really have any cases that she doesn't want to cover. So if there's something I really want to cover, I'll do the research for Lainey and see if she wants to do the episode. So I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, we make it work, and we're respectful of my boundaries and your lack of boundaries.
So we meet in the middle.
We do. We meet in the middle. What's your favorite non-true crime podcast?
My instant answer has to be How Did This Get Made or Doug Loves Movies. Those are my two favorite podcasts. Every single time they come on, I listen. I've traveled to New York to see Doug Loves Movies. I've traveled to Chicago to see How Did This Get Made. I'm just obsessed. And fun fact about me, How Did This Get Made has covered over 185 bad movies, and I've seen all of them but two. I've been working on it for the past couple years, and I'm down to only two movies left to watch.
What are the two movies that you have to watch?
The two movies I have left are Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Fair Game, which there's like two movies named Fair Game. This one's from 1995 and it looks terrible. So I basically what I did was I started with all the movies that I could rent from the library or that were streaming. And these ones are ones that I have to rent, and I hate paying $3 per rental for these terrible movies, so I just keep putting them off. Jess, what are your favorite non-true crime podcasts?
I love Stuff You Should Know, and I feel like that's quite cliche as well because it is such a big podcast, but I have been listening to them since basically the beginning, and they are coming to New Zealand in about 3 weeks, and I'm so excited because I am flying to Auckland and going. So I'm super excited to get to go to Stuff You Should Know live. Crazy excited.
Oh, do you think you'll get to meet the hosts?
Highly doubtful. It's like a sold out show at the Bruce Mason Theatre, which is pretty big. So, and as well as Stuff You Should Know, I really enjoy Sawbones, which is a show about medical history, and Oh No, Ross and Carrie, which is a show about like conspiracy theories and like just like weird claims that people make and they investigate them. I find it entertaining.
All right, tacos and beer or beer and tacos?
I don't drink beer, so that doesn't help. So can I answer tacos and tacos?
Whatever you want.
What about you, Haley?
I don't drink beer, and I'm also not a huge taco fan.
You
Like,
monster.
I know people here are always like, Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. I'm just like, eh. And I'm really plain. Like, I just like a soft shell taco meat and cheese.
It's like eating out with an 8-year-old.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Next question. Haley, you're funny, but you're also rated R funny. That's what I miss the most is raunchy Haley. Will you ever come out and play?
So, for those who don't know, I used to do a comedy true crime podcast with my friend Lindsay, and we were on for over a year. It was very raunchy and rated R. There were no boundaries we wouldn't cross. Um, I feel like my life is less stressful now that I don't do a raunchy podcast. Some people really hate that and would leave mean reviews or things like that. I'm trying to keep my raunchy self to text messages and messages to Jess. I will send very messed up things to her. And she laughs. But for real, I think it is better for me personally to just do a regular podcast because people will attack you personally. And it's always kind of a fear. It was always a fear of mine that somebody at my job would find out and would hear something that I said sarcastically and isolate the audio. And, it's just always something that you have to think about. So I probably won't come out to play on this podcast, but maybe one day I'll go on to another show and be myself.
And that's really fair, I think. Those are some really fair reasons why you wouldn't. And I can confirm that Haley's sense of humour is hilarious. Because I get to hear it. Because I get to hear it all the time.
It's very dry, so I say things and you can't tell if I'm joking or not. And so that's one reason with the isolated audio, you could take what I say and send it to somebody and they would not be able to tell that I'm kidding. And it's just a mess. So yeah, I'll stick to text messages where I can put like LOL after it or something like that. So, but I do like that question, and I think it is fun for people to know that I like to be funny, but probably not for Murder Road Trip. Besides the DweebCon meetup, where else would you go for true crime meetups?
Well, Haley and I are both going to be at the Westport Flea Market for a meetup on the 27th of September, I think, with a whole bunch of other podcast hosts. So clearly I will go international for podcast meetups. And then the weekend after that is DweebCon, which is in Cincinnati, and I'm so excited that I get to go to that as well. But yeah, basically, if I have enough notice and I can afford to go, I'd go pretty much anywhere. Last time I came to America, I did a meetup in Charleston with a whole bunch of people who like the podcast, the Karen and Ellen Letters. And then I went to Nashville and then did meetups for CrimeCon. So, I mean, there's not really many places I wouldn't go. What about you, Haley?
Same here. I've done meetups in Philadelphia, Los Angeles, places like that. It's usually me attending other people's podcasts meetups. I really like to support other podcasts. But yeah, as long as I have notice and it fits in my budget, I will go. And we are going to be at a meetup next year in Chicago.
We are. I'm trying to get through this next trip first, but so there is a meetup happening in July of next year in Chicago, which we will both be at, and we are super excited for that one as well.
Yeah, definitely more details will be coming out in the next couple months.
What's the current TV show that you are into?
Well, I just finished Community, which I absolutely loved. Troy and Abed forever. Right now, I'm watching a couple episodes of Cheers and I'm rewatching Chuck at night. I typically only watch new TV shows during the day when I'm working because I'm able to focus more and hear what people are saying. And then at night, I will rewatch stuff. So I'm rewatching Chuck, which is a favorite of mine. What about you, Jess?
Um, at Haley's insistence, I watched Psych. I have not watched the last episode yet because I'm just not ready for it to end. So that's sitting there waiting for me when I'm sort of emotionally ready. But other than that, I've started watching a UK show called Gavin and Stacey, which has like not been on for years. It's pretty old, but it's got James Corden.
Oh, he has talked about that before. I listened to him on a podcast talking about that.
Yeah, it's set in Cardiff, which I've been to Cardiff a couple of times and I have some family there, so it's quite nice to watch and hear the accent and see all these places that, you know, I kind of am a little bit familiar with. So I'm watching that, and otherwise I watch a lot of HGTV. I basically just watch HGTV.
It's good to have on in the background.
I love it. It makes me want to go like buy a house and then rip it apart and then do it back up, but I don't think it's as easy as it seems on the TV, so I won't.
I love Fixer Upper, and Ches loves Property Brothers.
Fixer Upper is amazing. I love Tiny House Hunters because they always complain about how small the house is, and then I just scream at the TV.
I get claustrophobic even watching that show. What is one tip for new podcasters that you would give?
Be kind to yourself. I think a lot of new podcasters, and I know that I've done this and you've done this, put a lot of pressure on themselves to put out an episode every week and to keep up with all the social media and things like that, and it's exhausting. So my tip would be just do what you can and be kind to yourself. It's supposed to be fun. And if you're stressed and it's not fun, then pull back.
I would agree with that. And if I had to add anything, I would just say that if you are thinking about starting a podcast, I know I've said this before, but just do it. A lot of people, I think about it for a long time and never do it. Just jump in and see if it's something that you like. Like Jess said, be kind to yourself. It's a learning experience. I have had multiple podcasts and I'm still learning. So, and like Jess said, it is a lot of work. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't put an episode out every week. It's really hard for people that don't do podcasting full time to do that. And then even the people that do podcast full time are working more than 40 hours a week.
It is. It can be a full-time job if you let it, and when you've already got a full-time job, it can get really tiring really, really quick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. Before we end the episode, we thought we'd talk about some of our favourite cases we have discussed in the last year. Hayley, what are some of your favourite cases?
I would have to say that my favorite case we covered had to be Phil Hartman. That case hit so close to my heart. Phil Hartman was in Jingle All the Way, which was my favorite Christmas movie growing up. I feel like that was when I got to know you, Jess, more personally. That was when we first started doing episodes together. And we took one afternoon and watched a Phil Hartman movie called House Guest. I was watching it in America and she was watching it in New Zealand, and we were just talking about it. And that was really fun. I think that was like the first super personal thing we did. And then I also learned some stuff about one of my favorite shows, Futurama, where Phil Hartman was supposed to play the character of Zap Brannigan. And so now when I rewatch that show, I just think about Phil Hartman. So I feel like that case has really followed me more than the other cases. What about you, Jess?
My favourite episode that we have done was the last one we actually recorded, where we had Colleen from Misconduct come on, and it was about Neil Falls. That one I just found so interesting because there was just so many different parts to pull together and a lot of different theories and a lot of different possibilities. And I think that's what fascinates me the most about true crime is the what if and the wonderings. I I know some people, and I know you especially, like solved cases and you like an ending. And as much as I want cases to be solved, obviously, because that's the best thing, the mystery of unsolved cases I just find really fascinating.
I can't with the unsolved cases. You've definitely broadened my horizons. I try to add in unsolved cases, though it's really hard for me because I do like the ending. It's like I just have to know.
Before we go, we want to tell you about a contest that we are running from now until the 30th of September. To enter the contest, all you have to do is leave us a 5-star review, screenshot it, and then email it to us at murderroadtrippodcast@gmail.com. You can review us anywhere that accepts reviews, such as Apple Podcasts or on our Facebook page. And if you've already left us a review, thank you, by the way, you can still enter by sending in your screenshot. The winner will receive a box of goodies from New Zealand. And I've been told in the past I pack a very good box of goodies.
You really do.
I do. It's true. You have until September 30th to enter, and we will draw the winner on October the 1st when I am in America.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support over this last year. It truly means the world to us.